this one out loud.
Okay. The media now devote more coverage to crime than they did 10 years ago. Yet this is not because the crime rate has increased, but rather because the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crime. After all, a crucial factor in the media's decisions about what issues to cover and to what extent to cover them is the interests of their audiences.
All right, what is our conclusion?
After all.
Actually, no.
No?
No, after all kind of is like in addition, or after all, oftentimes, not always, but after all can oftentimes introduce support for like what it was just previously talking about.
Okay, so then I would say the media now devote more coverage to crime.
No, okay. So um we're so this first sentence, the media now devote more coverage to crime than they did 10 years ago. Is this what we're trying to argue for? Is this what we're trying to prove?
No.
No. So this is just our background information here. And then we have a point of contest here where we say yet this is not because the crime rate has increased, but rather because the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crime.
Okay.
So we're saying like, hey, the fact that the media is now devoted more coverage to crime than they did 10 years ago is not because there's more crime, it's because of this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess that this is our conclusion. But let's read this last sentence where it says, after all, a crucial factor in the media's decision about what issues to cover and what extent to cover them is the interest of their audience. So this last part supports our main conclusion, right?
Okay.
One of the most common structures on the LSAT is in an argument is to give us like an opinion of others or background information, reject it, and then offer support for that rejection of that first thing.
Okay.
And just so you know, too, the conclusion can be anywhere in the argument. It can be the first sentence, it can be in the middle, or it can be at the end. Like there's no like rhyme or reason of where they are at. Okay, so then it's asking us about the proposition that the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crime plays which of the following roles in the argument? What is that role?
So the proposition. I mean, it's in the conclusions, so
Yeah. And like I'm a little bit I would be just a little bit cautious here. Like, so we know that because introduces a premise, right?
yeah.
But I feel like it kind of go like, but this sentence still kind of goes together, right? We're saying, I guess like our main conclusion is this is not because the crime rate has increased.
Yeah.
So maybe the second part is kind of support for this. But if you highlighted that whole sentence, like I don't think you would be wrong. Um, so go ahead and read these answer choices for me and tell me what you think.
Okay, so it supports the conclusion that the media now devotes more coverage to crime than crime rate alone justifies. So I would say no for A,
Why?
because it doesn't say like more coverage to crime than the crime rate alone justifies.
Yeah, we don't maybe before they weren't, maybe the rate wasn't equivalent to what it justified. So when they raised it, now it's where it needs to be. Like who knows?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So B, it is presented as evidence that the media decide what to cover and to what extent to cover, depending on the interests of the public. So I would stay with B.
Okay, keep going.
C, it is a counterexample to the claim that the media devote more coverage to crime now than they did 10 years ago. I don't know if it's a counterexample.
It is a counterexample to the claim that the media devotes more coverage to crime now than, yeah. Is it like a counterexample would be like literally giving like an alternative, like, explanation?
Yeah.
It is a counterexample to the claim that the media devote more coverage to crime now than they did 10. Like, are we disagreeing with the fact that the media devotes more coverage to crime now?
Mm,
Do we disagree with this
no,
fact?
yeah.
No, we don't disagree with the fact that the media devotes more coverage to crime now. What do we disagree with?
That, like, it's not the reason why it has
Yes. The reasoning, excellent. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, we don't disagree with the fact that there's more coverage to crime. We disagree with why there's more coverage of crime. Excellent. All right, D.
D, it is a generalization based on the claim that the crime rate has increased over the past 10 years. No, I would say D is crossed off because of generalization.
Excellent.
And E, it is offered as an alternative explanation of why the media devote more coverage to crime now than they did 10 years ago. So, okay. So I would say with B and E.
Okay, so which one? Let's think about this. Let's think about what. Okay, so we went up here and we're like, the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crime. Ask yourself, why did the author include this? And your own, don't look at the answer choices for a second and just ask yourself and give me in your own words, why do you think the author included this part right here?
So let's say that coverage, they increased coverage because the public is more interested in reading and hearing about crime. So they have to cover it and increase their coverage because the people and the audience is interested more in it.
But that's the last sentence. So, well, you just described this as last sentence. So this, why, okay, I'm gonna try to ask this in a different way. So we're saying our conclusion is this is not because the crime rate has increased. Okay, that's our conclusion. Why did this author include the sentence, the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crime? Why would he include that, or she? What is this author trying to do?
To, I feel like, contradict but explain the conclusion.
I don't think he's explaining. I don't think does the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crime. Does that explain the conclusion that it's not because the crime rate, or what does it do? Like if I said, um, I don't want to go to the park because um the water, or I don't want to go to the bike park because the dog park is open. My conclusion is I don't want to go to the bike park, right?
Yeah.
What do I offer following that?
So, like, evidence.
Oh yes, but think more specifically, evidence. Like I don't want to go to the bike park because I want to go to the dog park. What do I offer as my evidence? What kind of evidence?
Um,
What do I want to do instead? If I don't want to go to the bike park because I want to go to the dog park.
I don't know, choose.
Okay, I'm offering an alternative reasoning, right?
Okay.
You see, okay, so I was wondering if you would get it. I think you know that, but it's like kind of specific reasoning. Like our conclusion does not by itself here, or sorry, our support here by itself does not is not enough for like, hey, this is not because the criminal rate has increased, right?
Yeah.
Our this sentence alone right here, I'm gonna undo some of this. Our sentence, hold on one second. So this sentence right here, where we say the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about the crime, this alone is not enough support to to justify or guarantee this conclusion, right?
Okay.
What makes this support this alternative like this like by giving another example, this is justified by our additional support here, right?
Yeah.
A lot of what you were saying was actually coming from this second sentence. Do you agree?
Yeah, I
Like,
do.
what made that sentence so good is because we have this additional support. But really, in relation to the conclusion, the public is now more interested in reading and hearing about crimes is literally just another reason for why there's more coverage devoted to crimes, right?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. And so, knowing that, what answer choice would you pick?
I would pick E.
Yeah, it's offered as an alternative explanation of why the media devote more coverage. Yeah, this literally
Yeah.
is just an alternative explanation. It's like, hey, it's not because the crime rate increased, it's because people now care.
Yeah.
What sentence is B referring to?
Um, the last sentence.
Yeah, do you see the difference there?
I do.
Awesome. Sorry, I know that's really nitpicky, but I think it'll help you.
Yeah, definitely.